and welcome to CT Talking. My name is Dan Lovallo. The name of the program is CT Talking, and we are broadcasting live on Spreaker. That's right, we are on Spreaker. And we're broadcasting live. It's something we like to do on occasion over Spreaker. Of course, we have our numerous CT Talking podcasts, which we upload on the various podcasting services. But today we're going live on Spreaker, and I want to talk about the fact that there's a lot making news that we do want to get to here on our CT Talking podcast today. You can visit my various websites, by the way. cttalking.com happens to be one of them. We have another website that's devoted to politics in Connecticut, ctpolitics.com. That's politics spelled Politix. And we also have a sports website, danlovallosports.com. Well, how do you spell Lovallo? Lovallo. Okay. Enough of the spelling. Let's get down to the sports for just a moment, because I did post this on danlovallosports.com, but we're making it part of CT Talking today. And it has to do with legalized gambling on football games, college and professional, basketball games, Major League Baseball games, and the like, National Hockey League, National Basketball Association, the National Basketball Association, etc., etc. And the reason I bring this up is I maintain you are going to see the state of Connecticut and other states do just this, and that is allow for legalized gambling on these events. It's going to happen. I don't think there's any doubt about it. I believe that there are elements out there that are pushing this because they view it as revenue for the state of Connecticut, or the revenue stream for the state of New Jersey, or pick your state. I think there was a window of opportunity that Congress had established years ago whereby it was legal to bet on sporting events in the state of Nevada, but any other state which wanted to join the action had to do so by a certain date. And if I'm not mistaken, just Delaware did. But that doesn't mean Congress can't change these laws to open up the door to other states, particularly when it comes to trying to come up with other revenue streams rather than raising taxes, or in addition to raising taxes. Let's not forget that. But I just see it coming. One of the reasons I see this coming is recently there was a legislative task force in Connecticut examining ways to expand the gaming pool in the state. Casino revenue is down in Connecticut. I talked to somebody the other day who visited one of the casinos, and Connecticut has two, the Mohegan Sun Casino and the Foxwoods Casino, and they said it was down attendance-wise. And the revenue that the state receives from slot machines at these two casinos, that revenue is down as well. So this task force had a big information session, and they brought in some professor from Massachusetts, I think from the University of Massachusetts, who said Connecticut has to start allowing online gambling. They would do it by setting up these gaming parlors, and you would go to a gaming parlor or maybe one of the off-track betting sites and play video poker, bet on, who knows, some of the other video games that are also available at the casinos. But I maintain that's just the first step, that if they allow that, or let me rephrase that, when they allow that, you're then eventually going to see the approval of betting on video poker or some of these other games from the comfort of your own home. That'll be next. From your living room, with these smart TV sets today, maybe just bet as you're sitting in your recliner, or maybe at your computer desk. And they're not going to stop there, because they'll see these other revenue streams, such as football and basketball and baseball, and you'll see them do it, and you'll see them rationalize doing it by claiming they do it in England. In England, you can bet on a soccer game, you could bet on a sporting event. And all of this talk that we have heard for years about games being thrown because of so much money involved, will essentially be thrown out the window. That's what will happen. You won't hear that conversation anymore about the credibility of the game. That's one of the reasons, for example, we don't allow betting on games other than in Nevada, because of what happened, for example, in the 1919 World Series that was thrown because of gamblers. But you will, I am guaranteeing you, see this happen because the states need this revenue. It's just a matter of time. I bring it up only because of what happened on Saturday night in the game between two previously undefeated teams, the college football game between Ohio State and Northwestern. Ohio State was a 7-point favorite in this game. With practically no time remaining on the clock in the game, Ohio State had a 4-point lead, 34-30, meaning that if you bet on Northwestern and the score held up, then if you took Northwestern and the points, that's the key. If you bet on Northwestern and the points, if the score held up 34-30, you would win because Northwestern would have received that 7-point underdog favorite amount and would have won the game 37-34. If you bet on Ohio State, you would have lost. But Northwestern, deep in its own territory, decided to throw the football with X amount of seconds left in the game. A time for one more play, essentially. And here is what happened. And listen to how Brent Musburger called the play on ESPN. Listen.
So here they come with the hook and ladder. Scramble for the ball. Touchdown, Ohio State. And you know what? There are some folks who are celebrating and others who are saying, you've got to be kidding me.
Who's celebrating? The Ohio State fans?
Not just, they were celebrating early. There are some
friends.
Numbers crunchers who
Mercy. Did that just happen?
I don't know, but yes, it did.
Some people outside.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Well, great effort here by Ohio State.
And then Brett quickly changes the subject, but essentially that's what happened. That game, on what seemed to be a meaningless play, game over, was anything but meaningless, with a lot of money illegally riding on the game, unless you bet in the state of Nevada. Essentially what happened was Ohio State won the game by what? What would be the final score then? 40-30, right? So you give Northwestern 7 points, and Ohio State still won the game 40-37. So can you imagine the outcry if there was legalized betting on college football games in every state? Imagine the outcry. It's going to happen. Brace yourself. And guess what? You will get more descriptions of games like the one Brent Musburger provided. And I'm wondering if Musburger received some heat for essentially focusing on what was the line of the game, the action on the game, instead of the actual score. Something on which to chew. The name of the game is college football. The name of the show is CT Talking. I don't know why that's doing that. It's crazy, isn't it? Some of these computers and their software and all that happens, but we want to throw in a bumper, have a little fun here on CT Talking before we go to our next topic. Broadcasting live on Spreaker as we speak. And welcome back to CT Talking. My name is Dan Lavallo. I want to get in a couple of more topics before we wrap up our CT Talking Spreaker podcast today. As you know, we have the partial shutdown of the federal government. Oh my God, the partial shutdown. Everybody seems to be surviving now, don't we? What are we, day 8 of the shutdown? And we're still surviving? Day 8, and the country still exists. There was an interesting forum held by Connecticut 1st District Congressman John Larson on Sunday, and people showed up from the 1st District, which is just a gimme district for Larson. All he has to do is put his name on the ballot. He doesn't even have to campaign, and he'll get reelected. That's the way the districts work in Connecticut. But some members of the Tea Party showed up to give the congressman their mind, and I don't think he expected that. The congressman irritated a number of people to begin with when he played something from the comedy show, or the Daily Show, whatever Jon Stewart hosts, and it irritated some of the people in attendance because it slanted towards the Democrats' way. And not everybody who was at this forum was a Democrat. But Larson got up and started giving his political view on things and then began taking questions, including a question from this individual. And I'm not so sure he was expecting this.
We need to return to responsibility and fiscal responsibility. Thank you.
Now, what did the person say to the congressman? We need to return to fiscal responsibility. Except the congressman never answered the question. But how about the applause? The applause were there. There were people in that audience who agreed with fiscal responsibility, and that is not part of this discussion during the partial shutdown of the federal government. Listen again how they applaud at this gathering.
We need to return to responsibility and fiscal responsibility. Thank you.
Something that I found very interesting, the reaction from the people there in a district where all you hear about is how people want to spend taxpayers' money and not cut back. And yet Larson got that response, and there was a round of applause afterwards. You know what we need? We need somebody like this guy.
In this present crisis, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
You bet. You bet. In fact, we need to hear that again. That's how important it is.
In this present crisis, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
Enough said. The name of the podcast is CT Talking. We are coming your way on Spreaker. My name is Dan Lovato. Visit our website, cttalking.com, where we have coffee mugs. Oh, they are great mugs. And as we enter the winter season, there's nothing like a neat coffee mug, a heavy coffee mug to hold that coffee, right? So we have coffee mugs. We have CT Talking caps. We have CT Talking polo shirts, soon CT Talking dress shirts. Visit our website. Be part of the community, the cttalking.com community. All right, Campaign 2014 has gotten underway in Connecticut. That's right, the gubernatorial campaign. I know it's still 2013 and we have municipal elections to get through, but make no mistake about it, the campaign is underway. To that end, the governor of Connecticut, one Daniel P. Malloy, held a State of the State address or appearance on Monday night in Greenwich. And he, although he has yet to announce whether he's going to seek re-election, was touting the economic success of his administration. Well, he's going to run. I don't think there's any doubt about that. He will seek re-election. And so he is delivering his message now, trying it on the people of Connecticut at these various stops by touting his economic successes. Except the economic successes are not that much to brag about. Connecticut still has a persistent unemployment rate of over 8%. It was over 8% when he became governor. It is over 8% today, 3 years into his administration. And this is after he has spent billions of taxpayers' dollars trying to prime the pump with these various bonding packages and these various incentive packages to industry, et cetera, et cetera. You know the Democratic way. They pick losers, pick winners, try to pick winners and losers. It's like trying to pick the winner of a football game, or the loser of a football game, essentially. They throw money at certain entities instead of leveling the playing field and making it easier for all businesses to operate. Let me give you an example. The governor pointed out that under his administration, there have been efforts to improve the businesses of 900 firms in Connecticut. He said at this gathering Monday night in Greenwich, as I stand before you, we've done business with over 900 firms in Connecticut. It's one of the reasons we've seen job growth here in the private sector. Well, that's a disputable claim, first of all, because there are others who are saying Connecticut has had no job growth and that the administration is playing with the figures, which is what, they usually do. The party in power always plays with the figures. But you can make the case that there has been very little or no private sector job growth in Connecticut, or the private sector job growth that is there happens to involve part-time jobs and or minimum wage jobs. You can make that argument. He claims the previous administration interacted with only 119 firms. We've done 900 firms. Think about that claim for just a moment. There are how many businesses in Connecticut? Many of them struggling to make ends meet. Thousands of businesses. And you're boasting about an interaction with 900 firms? Wouldn't it be better to say that because we have made it easier to do business in Connecticut, we have made it less regulatory to do business in Connecticut, all businesses are benefiting? Wouldn't it be easier to take that approach instead of picking and choosing which companies you're going to do business with? Wouldn't it be easier to level the playing field for all businesses instead of 900 firms and not brag about it? As I stated before, we need this guy and this type of statement.
In this present crisis, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
But that said, the Republicans, at least one candidate for governor on the Republican Party side, pounced after the governor's appearance in Greenwich, and that was State Senator Tony Boucher of Wilton. She issued a statement that is right on, and I can only hope that more Republicans will do this, and that is point out, for the last 30-some-odd years, the General Assembly has been under control of the Democrats in Connecticut. This climate is the result of the Democrats, not from any Republican governor we might have had. And it's always Malloy's mantra of, I inherited this mess from the Republicans, and it's taking a while to straighten it out. Remember, he imposed on the people of Connecticut the largest tax hike in state history. But also remember that under those Republican governors, the legislature was dominated by the Democrats in veto-proof numbers in most years. Let me read the statement from Tony Boucher, the senator from Wilton. To hear Governor Malloy talk, he has saved Connecticut from certain death at the hands of prior administrations. As usual, he said that he inherited a mess, an empty rainy day fund, $1 billion in borrowing to pay operating expenses, and a $3.6 billion deficit, blaming it on Republican governors, although the budgets were passed by Democratic-controlled legislatures. Then he claimed to have fixed it, citing spending cuts that were really just smaller increases than planned and job gains that haven't reduced unemployment below 8%. He has had 3 years to get the state's financial house in order, and he's still blaming previous governors because it hasn't happened. Despite the governor's optimism, Connecticut's economy today is the only one in the country that actually shrank last year, and it ranks dead last among all the states Its 8.1% unemployment rate far exceeds national and regional average, and we have the country's highest debt per capita, second highest unfunded pension liabilities, highest combined tax burden, worst rating for financial management, worst credit quality, and lowest ranking as a place to retire. That's after 3 years of the Malloy administration working with a Democrat-controlled legislature friendly to its goals. Who will the governor blame now? Now, that's verbatim from Senator Boucher's press release. But I have to applaud the senator because I have been saying that for years in my commentary, that you can't spend your way out of this mess, and the state has attempted to do that under Democratic-controlled legislatures. And I actually made a correction on that press release because they listed it, their wording, the Boucher wording, was democratically controlled legislatures. Well, democratically, you would think that even if you're a Republican, you're going to take the democratically controlled approach. It's the Democratic Party, not Democrat. I would phrase it differently, but that's just me. Nevertheless, her point is well taken, and the point is the Democrats have called the shots in the General Assembly, and this is the mess Connecticut is in. And I would only hope that the Republicans continue to drive home that message, that if the Democrats, if Governor Malloy wants to wage this campaign on the state's economy, the Republicans would more than welcome that, because Connecticut's economy is stuck in neutral. Some would say going in reverse. But campaign 2014 is underway. Make no mistake about that. And we just thought we'd pass some information along to you and be a part of it right here on CT Talking Podcast on Spreaker. And thank you very much for listening to CT Talking Podcast. My name is Dan Lovallo. Thank you very much for being a part of my podcast community. Visit my website, cttalking.com, also ctpolitics.com. That's politics spelled Politix. And we invite you to drop by danlovallosports.com. Always fun being on Spreaker with our podcasts. And as always, we thank you for listening to CT Podcast. I'm Dan Lovallo.